Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. No begging the question. Right, we are joined by a whole panel of people, so I'll pass you straight over and we might do a little bit of housekeeping. So we are joined by Zinda, Sleeping Warrior, Physics Warrior, Jose, Flatten Earth, Daniel, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Yo.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Welcome to the realm.
Good afternoon.
So,
We only got... Well, no, we did all the housekeeping on the last one. Right, no housekeeping.
well, if we don't do housekeeping, we can't reassert the position that there is no evidence, right? No, we need to do housekeeping.
Okay,
There is
fair
no
enough.
evidence for a sphere.
I'm easily convinced. Right, any signs of curvature?
Absolutely none whatsoever. Shout out to P900
No.
Kubiks.
Nope.
It puts me a shame because I was going to say Soundly, but Soundly is 20 plus miles away, showing some
16.
distortion. At 16, right? And then we see 80 miles. So yeah, sorry, retracted. It's a no.
Okay, so it's just basically always based on a begging the question fallacy of a curve calculator that asserts some sort of obstruction at the curvature, quoted obstruction at the horizon, is actually curvature.
That's what they say, yeah.
That's rubbish. So no signs of curvature. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Yeah, no.
Nope.
None.
No.
So still just using the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy and asserting that they're on a sphere and that proves that antipodal star rotation is in existence.
Yep,
because you've assumed you're on a sphere.
That's about the size of it.
Shout out to Timmy Osman and his rotation pole stars.
Shout out retracted.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people in the audience that probably believe that there's an outer space. So is there any evidence whatsoever that you can have the gas pressure we all know and love without a container?
I don't believe there is there? What evidence is there? Let's have a think.
He's none.
No?
None that is sustainable.
I mean, if you ask
Oh,
a
is that
science
because of the rules of
teacher,
entropy, Arwin?
Yes.
if you ask a
Right.
science teacher like conspiracy cats, they would explain that if you have a balloon with pressure inside it and you remove the balloon, there is no pressure. It just dissipates. That's entropy. Second law of thermodynamics. So without a container, there would be no pressure. Right, guys?
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
So by definition, that debunks the vacuum of space asserted to be beyond the realms of any of us can travel to. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that medium, the fantasists in the audience now, anybody in the audience, if you think there's an outer space with rockets and men travelling to Mars, that's nonsense. Because we do have gas pressure, and the necessary antecedent would be a container. And according to you guys, rather than having the gas pressure we definitely have pressing on something, it's pressing on something that it would disperse into. That would be a vacuum. That doesn't work. No. So no evidence that could ever possibly be the case. No evidence of a gas pressure without a container.
I think the question we've got to ask is, are there any interviewees out there that would like to be interviewed on the back of realizing that everything that we were taught in school with regards to the heliocentric model is completely and utterly wrong? Anybody want to come in and let's ask some questions and interview you? Because there must be people out there that have realized by now. I know Zinda's on the border, but it's not going to be long before
Wrong.
Zinda's with us.
It's technically correct, but it is all presuppositional. So it's a potential possibility, basically based on the fact that there is not enough information to be absolutely certain.
What do you mean?
That's
it's a
basically
potential-
what they're going with.
What are you talking about? What's a potential possibility?
That's the presupposition system. Presuppose. Before. Pre. You suppose it before you get all the real facts, basically. And since they're not going to get all these real facts and just keep on sticking to the presuppositional approach of what it could potentially be, yeah, everything is safe and everything is as it is presupposed to be.
Sounds like you're talking bananas.
No, that makes total sense. He's saying that
Does it?
if you start with the presupposition that something is what it is, and you only ever go from there, then the world will always be as you have presupposed it. Precisely, Owen.
Exactly.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that was pretty concise.
Oh, forgive me. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking bananas again.
You're
Linda.
bully, Riley.
Are you not a flat earther yet, Zinda?
I don't know. Maybe
Come on.
yes, maybe no. Kinda more on the side of the flat Earth now, since I realized that the sun and the moon don't have to be material to exist. So this is like the biggest point I had to cross to become a flat earther. Everything else I don't really care too much about. You know, everything else that is kind of easy, more easy to wrap around my previous logic.
What about Sandra's video that we just discussed?
Yeah, I think it is kind of convincing. Yet, do you want to get an answer from my current state or from the state before I joined the show?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Get your stance in. What do you think about it? Like,
Yeah.
honestly.
No, I mean, if everything is correct, what you've shown there and all the numbers are real, corresponding the video, then the Earth has to be flat because the mountain shouldn't be visible at all from this distance.
correct. Because we have something called perspective, right? Things get smaller as a function of distance, but they've got to drop behind that curve too. Both things, it's a double effect. Both things have got to happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, due to angular size and angle of view, I mean, those are different things. I mean, if you put in something in the curve calculator, right, that is like 1 feet high, and then you say, all right, it's like 20 miles away, and your observer height is like 500 feet, then according to the curve calculator, you should be able to see it, yet it is too small to see because of perspective, right?
Correct.
So
Exactly.
the curvature calculator on the heliocentric model doesn't take in account perspective in that way because that wouldn't make sense, right? There wouldn't be no point.
It's not designed to do that because the perspective is automatically fixed in the orthographic position, in the side view position. It's technically fixed, so you can't really get any real perspective-based results with it.
Yeah, I mean,
You can't use it to emulate that anymore.
I know when
It's
it
fixed.
comes to perspective, you take. Well, they do when it comes to stars. I think those are different things.
Yeah, if they do it to stars, they should do it to the thing in the distance as well. Why are stars any different?
You're back online.
Because they're light-based phenomena, that's why.
I don't think you can compare stars to the Earth at all. You know?
No. What I'm saying is, why is the maths for the stars any different to the maths for the mountains in the background? They're the same phenomena. They're the same set. It should be the same set of maths.
Because according to them, the mountains go behind the curve, and the stars don't go behind any curve. The stars, they have
Right.
a direct line of sight to them.
But why would that change the maths?
I don't know. I mean, according to them, the stars don't get smaller at some point. They just get less bright. They lose luminescency, and this doesn't even make sense to me. Yet they show us these supposed facts, right?
Do you ever watch Globebusters?
No, I I've never watched Globebusters.
You should. They bring up numerous points to do with like the contradictions in on one thing they say compared to other things they mean. We focus more on the evidence, but Globebusters focus on the general picture. And some of the things that they bring up on the Globebusters show, it's just laughable how people don't realize that these things are contradictory.
Yeah, interesting.
Shout out to Globebusters.
Think there, just keep giving your opinion the most honestly you can. Don't listen to the comments that people do because they're calling you a clown because you just, I mean, just because your fellow fellow Glovers are calling you a clown because you are thinking outside the box and entertaining alternatives. That's it.
Well,
I mean, what else can we ask for,
This
right?
is normal, and why should I care about some random people on the internet
Yeah,
that I haven't
exactly.
talked
Thank
to?
you.
Yeah, do you even consider them as part of your crowd, or they just happen to be on your political side?
Oh,
Or
the-
used to be.
The only people I really care of are my friends and family. So
Thanks, Eddie. We
everyone.
care about you too.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you very much. No, honestly, the people I really care of are people I've met in real life because, I mean, how to build a relationship with people you don't even really interact with that much, other than talking. I mean, everyone on the internet can be a pretender clown and can act as another person. Yet, if you see the other person in real life and become friends with those, this possibility gets narrowed down a lot. So yeah.
Unless, of course, you go and do street activism, in which case the globe trolls do actually turn up in real world.
Yeah, I mean, it could be possible, but yet.
No, they definitely do. That was what Roxanne was telling me when we were chatting about street activism. She actively has people that troll her on the internet, actually trolling her on the in real world too.
Yeah, I don't think my friends are trolls. So, I mean, why should they be? People you know since eternity.
Yeah, they're not going to be
Makes
trolled.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but somebody's known Mark Taylor for all their life too, and they would probably think Mark Taylor won't be a troll. But if they could see what he actually does and he spends his time doing, apart from working.
Yeah, I think we should go through housekeeping first before we go deeper into such topics.
Any signs that you can have a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
No, Nathan.
Cinder,
No.
what do you think about that?
I never fully understood the iron core on the heliocentric model anyway. How exactly it generates a magnetic field and so on. So I can't give you an answer to that because.
Do you understand that? Do you understand their argument is the dynamo theory, right?
Hey, Ranty.
Yeah, and yet is this liquid, and liquid iron shouldn't create a magnetic field, yet something else is going on according to the heliocentric model, which I never really looked too much into it, and I don't understand yet.
You should, because once the Curie point is met, the Curie temperature of any metal that is magnetic, once the Curie point is met, it loses its permanent magnetic state. Now, it can be replaced with an induced magnetic state, but on the heliocentric model, there is no induced magnetism. So it loses its magnetic state, and it can only come from a self-perpetuation. Now, if that's true, then we need to see evidence that iron will self-perpetuate when it moves. And there's no evidence that iron will do it. Sodium, possibly, that does it, but that's not iron. We're told that it's iron and a nickel alloy, basically, a liquid alloy inside the Earth. But there's no evidence that these things do this. But everyone believes it anyway, and I think it's nonsense that people believe stuff just because they're told it's true. We want to see the proof. Now, in the absence of proof, the only thing you can reasonably conclude is that perhaps it's not actually true and it's a just so story. But people still believe it, and I think that's silly.
Yeah. So according to them, the inner core is solid of the Earth.
Not the inner core, the center.
Yeah. Not the inner core.
Well, they have the inner and the outer core, don't they? And then they have the core.
Inner core, yeah. Inner core, outer core. Inner core, of course, is the center. I mean, yeah.
Well, they have the core, then they have the inner core, then they have the outer core, then they have the mantle, then they have the crust.
They have the inner core, outer core, and the mantle. So like to dumb it down to 3 things. I know there are other
they've got
layers.
a designated core, and then they have the inner core, then the outer core, then the mantle, then the crust. But anyway, either way, whatever.
So it is solid according to them. The
Yeah,
inner
they say
core.
it's solid.
Yeah.
But it's beyond the Curie temperature, right? And it can't have a magnetic state unless it receives an inducted one, which would be hello electric universe. But they say it's caused by, well, the dynamo effect. But the dynamo effect, there's no evidence that this is true. I say that's nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, I never had a great opinion about it, so I tend to say it is bullshit. Yet I don't understand well enough to say it is bullshit because, yeah, you know.
Well, it's the evidential burden that's not been satisfied. The claim is that molten iron will self-perpetuate itself and create its own magnetic core, its own magnetic charge, and that would be then the induced magnetism that comes in from an external source, which, well, maybe not induced, but it's created by itself, self-perpetuated. But there's no evidence that this is true. So without that evidence, then it's just a story. But people don't seem to want to accept that this is nonsense reasoning. It's embarrassing.
Of embarrassing nonsense reasoning. Any evidence of the R value?
No, Nathan.
What do you think, Zinda?
Rumpus claimed earlier that it's been established, it's proven.
This F20 keeps spamming the chat with little hearts and NASA. That's very
Daniel.
spamming. That's very distracting.
What I think, Anthony? Yes.
What? Is there any evidence of a radius?
Well, if I had any evidence, I think I wouldn't be on the flat Earth side. So, no, I haven't seen any evidence for the R value.
At this point, then, you're happy that there's quite a lot of missing evidence, right? But you're not that happy to say that, well, I might not actually believe that it's a sphere anymore. You don't have to say that you're a flat earther. You can acknowledge that it's not a sphere, and you become a globe denier.
Yeah,
and that's what I consider myself as. I consider myself as a globe denier.
Yeah, I think it is in the sphere now.
Yay.
So, yeah, but I'm not a flat earther yet.
No, I'm not. I don't class myself as a flat earther. I call myself that.
Me neither.
Are you a flat Earth witness?
I'm not a flat earther either.
Denier.
I mean, it could have other shapes, yet I would.
Yeah, we
have
could
to
be on.
prove
We could indeed be on a meteorite. That is absolutely true.
On a meteorite.
Yeah, like a random non-uniform shape of rock.
It could be anything. It could be all ridiculous stuff. Yet I would have to prove it, of course.
I'm pretty sure we live on a plane. It's simply a matter of, is this plane confined and is it spatially linear? But that it's a plane seems blatantly obvious because there is no curvature anywhere. So we have to draw our geometrical deduced conclusion from that.
Unless, of course, you run.
No rock, no weird wobbly rock.
Yeah, you're right, Owen. I'm agreeing with you a lot today. So, yeah, the nature of what we're stood upon is obviously a plane. Now, the outer extremities, I've got no idea. You've got no idea? Nobody's got any idea.
Exactly.
Somebody somewhere might have some idea, but that, when we say shape, it's like back to the cognition that it's got to have an outer extremity like the globe has. Well, we might find out one day what's beyond the realms that we know already. We might not. We might be completely contained, as Owen puts it. But those are just speculations, and we don't know is the truthful, the truth of the reality that we're faced with. What we do know is that Earth is a plane.
Or what we do know is that it's not a sphere. That's a more accurate way to say it. Definitely not a sphere. Or if it is a sphere, it's definitely not the size they're telling us.
I'd say definitely a plane. The nature of perspective shows us that.
Yeah, I wouldn't really disagree. I just think that people need to realise that it's not a sphere. And the more you deny it, the more it just fuels us to carry on doing what we're doing and expose the lies. Globes are lies.
Right, distance to the sun, as that's on screen. I think that's
You've missed Sandra out photographying you.
That's great. Not to be unexpected though, is it? She's good with the camera. What's she done this time?
I've not seen Sandra's latest, Ranty. Can you bring it up, Anthony, and we'll show Ranty?
I can't. I'm playing a game. I'm playing Command and Conquer.
I would love to see this awesome piece of footage again.
Hashtag priorities. I'm nearly done. If you give it 5 minutes, I'll be able to do it.
Yeah,
but
no
Command and
worries.
Conquer.
We'll remind you to show Sandra's footage while you end your Command and Conquer game.
Yeah. Hashtag priorities. Ranty, you just got. It's the most recent video, Ranty. It's glorious. Yeah, we'll play it again because it's. You don't even need to do any maths. You can just tell that you shouldn't be able to see it. So.
Yeah, the flat earthers are smashing it at the moment because they're basically free to go out and just observe the world. And when you see something that you shouldn't in the globe world, you just go, there it is, we see it. And they have to go, oh, let's maths it. Let's get our calculators out and say why we should be seeing this thing that we don't see, or why we are seeing this thing that we shouldn't, rather.
Shout out to Dank in the chat.
Shout out to who?
Dank?
Dank.
What side's he on? Is he on our side?
Yeah, he's cool. He say somebody is arguing. He say they're trying to prove to see a curve in 22k, whatever kilometer, 22 kilometers, and then Dank say, yeah. So how big is Earth if Soundly is getting curved in 22 kilometers? You know?
Yeah.
He's cool.
I mean, let's remember, Soundly's observation is done at 16 miles, right? And he's claiming that's the curve of the Earth. It's garbage. If that really was the size of the Earth, right, we'd be living on a basketball. That's not what they tell us we live on, though.
So it's a contradictory argument. Yeah, the Glovers are like, flat earthers trying to see a curve in 22 kilometers. Really? So, Soundly, right? Okay.
Hey, so I was trying to get in before when you guys, because I guess I missed the axial rotation question. But even before we get to rotation, the axis confuses me. Is there evidence for an axis?
Yeah, they got the star. The star's rotating is claimed to be the axis rotation.
If you presuppose that the south is underneath your own arse. So, as always, starting with the presupposition you're standing upon a sphere, the lights that are absolutely unequivocally above you in every single example that you look at the stars, if you presuppose that they're actually under your arse, yeah, then you go from there. So if you want to carry on your example of how that proves axial rotation, you just have to understand that first you must be stood upon a sphere. So your presupposition must go first. So everyone on the panel cool with just saying we're on a sphere first before we go forward with this actual rotation example with the stars? We're all cool with that, right?
No.
We're just going to accept that we're on a sphere going forward before my example of the stars. So you do all accept that stars are under your ass in Australia? That's all good by you lot, right?
No.
Absolutely not.
I think,
and this is why I asked the question, because to me it seems every time I think about that, it's like, wait a minute, it's a ball, right? How does a ball have a tilt? You know, so I mean, I would assume by that, would the only evidence for that would be the two celestial poles. I mean, is that really the only proof of some type of axis? Because I mean, it's a ball. How does a ball have a tilt? It's still a ball if it's tilted over. You know what I mean?
It's a ball of stars, and they're spinning.
I might answer that. If I remember right, the tilt, they say, is towards the elliptical orbit it travels around the sun, which would be like 15 degrees or so, but I don't remember.
23.3.
23, alright then. So it is tilted towards the orbit it travels, if you can picture it in your mind, what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know what you mean. It's just, to me, the whole concept of a ball tilted on its side, to me, it's just silly. It's still a ball, you know.
Hey, Chocolate, Earth's axis is 23.4 degrees, and minus 90 degrees equals 66.6 degrees. Don't you get it, bro?
Yeah, 66.6 degrees off the horizontal, correct.
Oh,
man-made.
Chocolate,
Mainly.
picture it that way. You have like a golf ball or a basketball, and you take a stick and put it through it, and then you can see the ball hanging on a stick, and then you take the stick and tilt it like 23 degrees, and then you travel around with it on a bigger ball, which represents the
No,
sun.
I get it. I've seen how they modeled it out, and I understand what they're trying to say. It's just the reality of a ball just being tilted on its side, and then it maintains that tilt around, and then it sometimes it'll wobble, like that whole. It's just silly to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, on the model itself, it makes sense. Yet, of course, you have to prove it. So, yeah, it's like kinda a blockade.
So if everything is relative and wherever you're standing, you are right side up, why do they depict the globe in every single illustration as
In
just
the same
one
way.
one way, you know?
In the same way, right? You never see
Yeah.
like
Why don't
why
you
has the
in
satellite
Australia in
not
the
taken
books
a
in
picture?
Australia they don't depict it backwards, you know, flipped or
Yeah, yeah. So does that mean they have to take every picture taken by whatever freaking imaginary satellite and then have to flip it
yeah.
to the right side when they're the same guys who tell us there's no up and down in space? Doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know. The whole thing is just the more I think about it, it becomes sillier every day. This wall.
Thank you. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, man. Like I straight laugh at this nonsense now.
It's a
Like
cartoonish model.
sometimes I can't even, I watch science fiction movies and now like they make me laugh sometimes. It's like really, oh my god, I used to be so hype about some of this shit.
I mean,
I still am. I'm watching science fiction series daily
What
now.
was the answer, Cinder, if you got an opinion on that?
what again? Sorry, repeat it, please.
About the depictions on the globe that we all see in all the books all over the world. They depict the Earth just facing certain way. Why is that if there's no up and down and everything is relative, wherever you're standing is right side up, and satellites are going whatever, there's no up and down. So why do they depict the globe just certain way always?
I don't know. Maybe for illustration purposes. I can't answer you that. I don't know what they thought about when
Probably.
they did it. Yeah, I mean, it kind of everything. It made sense to me a time ago. Yet now, when you start questioning it, it doesn't really make too much sense anymore. I mean, in itself, to me, it still makes sense, right? So I had to become a flat earther, or not really flat earther, but to deny the globe model, I kind of had to throw away a part of my logic I had before.
Yeah, the
Because-
evidential part of it.
Yeah.
Your
So-
methods of reasoning. It's not really logic.
No, it's the evidence. You have to throw away the evidence part and go with the story part.
Yeah, because the story in itself kind of made sense.
Yeah,
But it's that they threw
everything.
math in the middle of the
that's it.
story, and the math works out. So the story works out because the math works out.
Because math
But if you
is
interchange
reality.
the number, but if you interchange the numbers, you can make them work out another way. So how does that prove that it's right?
It
Well,
silly.
doesn't.
Deception isn't
Exactly,
deception is
Zinder,
maths.
exactly. It doesn't.
I mean, yeah, I was, and we never learned at school how season works, anything about the Earth. Yet when I looked it up for myself, I was like, oh, wow, the tilt makes the seasons when traveling around the sun and blah blah blah. And this is why on the equator, every day has 12 hours. And every night has 12 hours, and on the North Pole and South Pole, half a year it is dark and half a year it is bright, right? And I was like fascinated. I was like, whoa, shit, this makes sense. Yet there is no real evidence for it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that always bothered me was seasons and we're 3 million miles closer to the sun during the winter, right? But it's winter. That I mean, we get our heat from the sun. we get 3 million miles closer and it's winter, there's snow coming down. Oh, but that's because of the tilt. And I mean, come on. It's, come on.
Yeah, they say
If you compare the size of the supposed sun to the size of the supposed Earth, and it gets 3 million miles closer, there's no way you're going to tell me it's going to get colder because of how the tiny little ball is tilted. Come on. Are you kidding me? Anyway,
well, they also say that I mean, Mercury is supposedly the closest planet to the sun, yet Venus is much hotter than Mercury.
Makes no sense, that, does it?
Because
And
they
Venus-
say it is because of the atmosphere and the greenhouse gases and everything. Yet I don't even know.
And again, how do we see Venus at night? How is
So,
Venus seen at night?
With our
If
sister
it's
planet
closer to the
Venus,
sun. I don't
it's
understand.
claimed as Cinder says that it's got all the greenhouse gases that are perpetually heating up the planet, right? So essentially, you've got lots of greenhouse gases next to the vacuum, holding in the temperature. Oh, really? So why aren't those greenhouse gases dispersing into the vacuum of space? They're just there magically, right?
Gravity, Nathan, gravity.
So wait a
Right.
minute. So how does a gas planet, let's say like Jupiter, right? Because I mean, how does a gas planet like that form if it's supposedly gravity that is formed? So gravity just pulls the gas
Yeah, what
together
came first,
into
the
a
gravity or
ball?
the gases?
Right. Exactly.
We're bending space-time, of course. What's wrong with you?
Oh, my bad. Oh my god.
It's strange. I know.
Quite.
So, I tell you what's another good one. Newton's laws of motion, right? His third law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So what's the equal and opposite reaction for the Earth spin?
I think the reason why they claim it is it isn't a ball, yet it is a what they're called, a spheroid or something like this.
Spheroid.
Yeah. So the equal opposite reaction would be the would be the Earth a little bit
the chubbiness
yeah,
of the
on
Earth
the
in
equator,
the middle.
right? It would be that it is a
Even
little
though-
bit
Now, if
Even though we're only
wider on the
showing a
equator.
perfect sphere.
If that really was the case, wouldn't we have all the waters of the world pooling on the equator?
I
We would
agree.
have a bulge at the equator, right? And it's the driest part of the world.
Yeah. And it should be fat. It should be like a fat ball in the
Yeah.
middle. Like it's a perfect sphere all the time, and every time they show it to us. But they claim it's a little chubbier in the middle. Shut up. It's not chubby shit.
Ranty, are you still here?
Have you finished your Command and Conquer game?
I am still here, yeah.
I'll just play Sandra's video again if that's all right, Nathan.
Yeah, definitely. Check it out, Ranty. I mean, this isn't besting you by any chance. You're equally as good as your footage that you got a couple of days ago.
Okay.
But not better.
So
or
we
worse.
start off with this rather poignant guy burying his head in the sand, and do you know what? It's perfect because this is what they've all got to do. They've all got to ignore this. Now, Rumpus did come in, but Nathan stopped him begging the question. I kind of wanted him to see what he'd do, but I understand why he didn't allow him to beg the question. But nonetheless, this is what you've got to do with this video because you've got to ignore it. You've got to bury your head in the sand. So what she does is, I'll speed it up a little bit because I'm on 1.5. She's been listening because she's put the crosshairs in to make it the center of frame, and she's on Beacon Fell. That's somewhere near you, that isn't it?
It is, yeah.
864 feet, looking at the turbines, but she can see the Isle of Man in the background. Now, as she pans over to the left, she can basically the visibility gets a little bit misty, so she can't really see as far as she can when she's looking out to the right, because the atmosphere it's basically got a little bit of water vapor in it, a little bit of cloud, bit of pollution, bit of flies, you name it, bit of crap in the atmosphere. You can't see very far. That's the reason why we can't see from the east coast of America. We can't see all the way to Paris, notwithstanding the fact that Paris Eiffel Tower shrinks as a function of distance, but you can't see indefinitely because we're essentially looking through fluid. We're looking through basically water. But nonetheless, she can see to the left, it gets really murky. She can't see very far. So she has to pan over to the right. And when she goes back over to the right, she picks out something that she can identify on the coast. And then she shows what's behind it and then basically identifies a particular mountain. Rumpus has agreed that she's probably got the mountain right. And he actually credited her for correctly identifying the mountain. And this is now the point where she shows where the chimney stack is. So she stops it around about here. And maybe a little bit further. And now she can see the turbines quite clear again. And as she gets it to a certain point, you can see in the far background, you can see the mountains. And she sees this building with this particular prominent looking chimney off the coast of, I can't remember, Kirkham, I think, was it? I can't remember exactly where it was. But she identifies it. And that's what she lines up. But you can see that there is the mountain in the background. Now she's 86 miles away. This mountain's called Kronk. And it's got a height of, I think it was 1,400 or 1,600 feet. And you can see that as she zooms in, it's 86 miles away. And it's got an elevation of 1,433 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But the hidden height, according to the proof of nothing begging the question curve calculated bullshit nonsense, is 1,667 feet. So none of it should be seen. None, right? None. That doesn't even take into account the perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah, so it's not reduced the height of the mountain as a function of distance when it's applied that figure. It's applied the figure as though the mountain was right in front of your face. But clearly, it isn't right in front of your face. And that was worth pointing out, actually. She's just showed that part there, that the reason why the horizon's not exactly where it should be is because of there's a bit of mirroring going on. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're familiar with this thing, this phenomena. We're trying to work out what's causing it. All right, it's not perfectly in the center of frame, but she's got it as close as she had. Obviously, the center of frame wasn't on the screen when she was doing this. She was guessing it. So she's as close as damn it. But she can see the mountains in the background. And there's our Stena Hibernia, is it? That looked like it was the Stena Hibernia. But the point is, we can see all these turbines, and some of them are taller, some of them are smaller. And obviously, the taller ones may be physically taller, but they're also closer. I mean, the ones in the back, that one in the background is taller because it's physically bigger. But the ones that are generally, it's hard to see because perspective is relative to all the things that are in the distance. But the point is, we can see these mountains, and the mountains shouldn't be invisible if we live on a sphere. Because
it's the amount that's visible of the mountains that we're seeing.
We shouldn't see any of them.
It's not that we can just see the top of them. It's how much of them we can see.
Well, we shouldn't see any of them. She's already begged the question and showed that even the refracted hidden value was so far gone that you shouldn't see any of them because of the curvature. But we're clearly seeing the mountains, and I'm going to assert that we're seeing all of the mountains. And the little bit of obstruction on the horizon, that little bit of obstruction, that's basically the thing that they all call the obstruction, formerly known as curvature. But we know it's some form of mirroring caused by some phenomena that we haven't really worked out yet. It may well be something to do with the angle. But nonetheless, the point is that we can see through these turbines, and we can see that there is the clear outline, again, of the Isle of Man. Not just the tippy tops of it, it's the whole thing. Now, there's another part in this. I think I might have missed it, where she was panning across the horizon, and you can clearly see, yeah, this is it now. I think this is, yeah, look, you can see all the mountains now. You can see them clearly in the background. So we're not just seeing the tippy tops of these things, we're seeing the whole lot. Now, the whole lot should be behind the curve of the Earth. Right? That means you shouldn't see the mountains, but we clearly see them. So anybody that thinks that we live in a sphere, you've got to understand that you should not be able to see these lights, these mountains. The only thing that you should see on screen is the spinning turbines with no mountains behind them. It should be sky because things are supposed to have fallen behind the curve, but they're clearly not doing. So unless you're going to try and debunk this on the basis of whatever, Miles the Liar Davis, this video is impossible on a sphere. Bit like your video, but the other way around and truthful.
Eat that, ballers.
Yeah. Stick it in your pipe and smoke it. It's a glorious way. It's short timed as well, so I can narrate my way through it and not feel as though I'm running out of time. It's perfectly timed. It's such a good video.
What do you reckon?
But R and Lumin, Riley.
And can I just say to everyone, make sure you go to P900 Cool Pix's channel and like and comment and subscribe to her channel, because between her and Ranty, they're doing all the work that we all benefit from. we're slaying the trolls with our swords, and Ranty and Coolpix P900 are going getting the work. So go and like and comment and give her a thumbs up on the video, because she deserves it. This is epic footage.
Yeah,
epic footage.
She does some excellent stuff.
She does. Today's a good day to be on our side.
Was that video exclusively on a P1000 channel?
Say that again.
Oh no, here it is. 86 miles, Isle of Man.
Yeah, it's the most recent video.
Yeah, I've got it. Wanted to share it again, that was all.
Yeah. She's undersubscribed, Sandra. She needs to be. Oh, and by the way, wow, that's loud.
Sorry.
What, you got the epic music in the video?
Yeah, she always plays nice music in the background.
Right, so I've stuck a link to that video in the chat, so go and subscribe to Sandra immediately.
Yeah.
And shout out to MediaHC. MediaHC, he's gonna watch the show later, and he gave me a bunch of beats for my upcoming videos. Shout out to MediaHC.
I tell you what's interesting, Ranty. This is basically all spawned from the back of the day when you said to me, I think that might be a flat earth proof with that Isle of Man video, do you remember?
Yeah.
It's all started from that, because otherwise people wouldn't be paying attention to it. So it's just glorious, because it's far enough away and it's big enough for us to see that you can see it way beyond the curve of the earth.
You share my screen, Nathan.
There it is. That's good timing. This is the thing that you're specifically talking about on screen now. So that's the slither of the north end of the Isle of Man. Sorry, Ranty. Yes, I'll put you on screen. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is the same that Sandra saw. So this is 82.2 miles from my observation point. I'm slightly lower than she is, because I'm only at 798 feet. She's at 864. But again, it's 82.2 miles to this Kronknia Dar or something, whatever that one was called. And then you've got South Barul, which is here. So it's the same outline that we're seeing from two separate locations.
I reckon, Nathan, this is going to be one of those hangouts where we need to, or the first show, where you need to put an asterisk on it, because it's one that we can refer back to later on in the future, because this evidence is so strong that these baller morons are just, they're dead. Honest to God, if you still think we live on a ball after this evidence, you just might as well just go and...
Well, we need to push boundaries. We need to see how far can we actually go? How far can we push it? You know, at what point do we say, if we've got 80, is it Sandra's done 86 miles, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So I was looking here, and I think this is about a 90-mile observation from essentially around about 470 meters. So, you know, you can push the boundaries and you can go even further, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, I tell you what we need to do. Do you remember that Stephen Cheatley one that he took the picture from Winter Hill? That was like even further away, but I think it was a bit higher because Winter Hill's higher.
Okay.
But it's worth reconsidering, because basically Winter Hill. In fact, actually, I'm going to dig that out and we're going to present that right now. Because when you look back at, hang on, Stephen.
You see, there's plenty of mountains in this area that we can go to. We can get higher. You know, there's like 384 meters here that we could go to this point. Let's see.
That's got to be in excess of 100 miles away, right?
I wouldn't. I'd say it's close on 90, maybe more. You might be right, Nate.
Have a look. I know you were right. 91.
Yeah, 91, 92. And then if you went over to South Barul, you're looking at 95 miles to South Barul. Hang on. South Barul is... Yeah, South Barul's over here. So South Barul's 95 miles away. So that could be worth going to. How close are you to Wigan?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in Wigan, aren't I?
That's what I meant. It was kind of a hint.
He's only got the inferior P900 though, unfortunately.
Yeah, but check this out though, Nathan. Just put my screen on, please, if you would. Well, let's go back to Stephen Cheatley's fantastic observation from Winter Hill. Basically, he's looking at Snaefell from Winter Hill across Blackpool. Now, in this picture, right, however high Winter Hill is, Ranty, could you find out how high Winter Hill is? And what he's done with this image, he's took about 50 or maybe 100 snaps all at the same time, like, and then he stacked them all on top of each other. And then he's took an average of the pixels for all of the pictures, overlaid them all, and got one picture based on numerous pictures. But the point is, I mean, however far away these mountains are at this distance, we'll have to reconsider it now. Ranty's going to get the distance.
456 meters, 1,500 feet, essentially.
So he's at 1,500 feet, and how far away Snae fell from it, Ranty?
Oh, hang on, let me.
Because I think this is further away than 86. Now we came to Stephen Cheatley's years ago, right? 2 years ago, and it was neither here nor there. We couldn't prove how much of the mountain we were seeing. But the point is, once we realised that this perspective denying proof of nothing, begging the question curve calculator wasn't taken into consideration perspective, then this basically rewrites history, because we need to reconsider this and basically show that this is probably the best flat earth proof that you'll ever buy. And I'd encourage people to go and buy this Fine Art America website, because you can actually buy canvas prints, frame prints, art prints. He sells them, and rightly so. This is an epic, epic picture. And it shows that the earth cannot be a sphere.
90.75 miles to Snaefell.
90.75 miles.
Yeah.
So if this is 90 miles away, how big should Snaefell look relative to these turbines? Well, don't forget the turbines stop shrinking after a certain distance, but the mountain carries on shrinking. So that's why these are coming down, and this is where they all go to shit. They can't have these things at orthographic full height, because the only time they're at that full height is when they're right in front of you. But look at how far away they are. You should not see these things. This curve calculator's broke. It doesn't do what they tell us it does. It does something different. And what it's doing is it's trying to make a curved ball look flat to match the lack of curvature. It can't be done. We live on a flat plane, or at least it looks locally flat. We're definitely not on a ball. And if it is a ball, it's definitely not the size that Soundly shows it to be. So check out that. We're Fine Art America. Featured / oh, you'd have to type in Stephen Cheatley, Blackpool, and then click images. That's what I did when I saw this. But this is an absolutely epic piece of footage. It's absolutely fantastic. I wonder whether you could stack images based on the P900 as P1000 and get the same effect. I'll have to get back in touch with him and find out how he did this and what we can do to do the same thing.
Well, that's an interesting question. Have you studied your manual for the P1000, Ranty?
No.
He hasn't learned how to do focus lock, of course he hasn't.
Of course I have.
Give me a break. It might just be worth digging out the manual and just having a read, see what it's capable of. You know, it's a new piece of tech.
Well, the P900 had burst mode. You could get, I think you could do 50 or 100 shots instantly. But you'd have to have a nice level tripod, and Ranty's not great at doing that. He'd just get a load of blade smudges. Sorry, Ranty.
So did you still want to borrow my P1000?
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
Oh, have you seen what's going on in the chat? Just this constant troll keeps coming back saying NASA, 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 heart. Seen it?
Yeah, that's Red Rhetorics and his team. Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, and let's just remember, people, that Red's Rhetoric was challenged to come on. He has an open link every day, and he ran. He had a choice. He could come and join, or he could run, and he ran. Seems to have come back again now, but he ran. All you baller morons are literally stupid.
It's been a bad week for the globe, hasn't it?
Been a bad year. Been a bad 3 years.
What globe?
So I think it's worth just repeating to people that the curve calculator thing doesn't take into account perspective. Things get smaller as a function of distance, but they also drop into that curve as well. And the curve calculator, whatever it's doing, it's not doing what it needs to be doing to tell us about how we live on a so-called sphere. It's making a sphere look very flat. That's what it's really doing. And Walter Bislin is as guilty as Mick West. They're all a bunch of charlatans. They're all liars. They're all the spawn of society. They're trying to deceive people into believing something that simply is not true. They should be ashamed of themselves. Mick West, you should be ashamed. Walter Bislin, you should be ashamed. Soundly, you should be ashamed. Red's Rhetoric, Slice Barkane, Sean Hufford, Paper Explanator, curved water. Brenda von Assen, you should all be ashamed. We do not live on a sphere. Sorry, I'm done.
You should have heard him yesterday he did a live stream.
Who?
Red Rhetoric did a live stream yesterday.
Red who?
And he's basically trying to get everybody to wear some kind of NASA t-shirt or something like that, or Star Trek t-shirt on New Year's Eve to try and trigger flat earthers. Like, this is really going to trigger us.
It's not going to trigger us, dickhead. It's going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
Anybody I see wearing anything to do with NASA now, you're effectively Mark Sargent when he was wearing those globe glasses at the after dinner at the convention last year. That's how stupid you look. Now, I know he did that with good intentions to be a bit of a doofus, but that's what you all look like. So, yeah, you wear your NASA t-shirts and trigger flat earthers. We'll just sit here and laugh at you, morons.
Well, there are a lot of people who don't even know about the flat earth debate who just wear NASA t-shirts. They don't make it to troll other people. They just think that it looks nice, or are NASA fanboys. I don't know.
Yeah, the other thing is, I did a local school run the other day, and I got Nathan. I got my phone to play through the stereo through the auxiliary cable, and I had Nathan's flat Earth debate playing, and I got the whole bus talking about flat Earth, and none of them had been flat smacked, and it was brilliant. I should record it actually. That's how I could flat smack people. I should just record it.
That's cool.
I mean, I have no reason to hate NASA or like see them as bad persons because they give us so many nice pictures.
Yeah, lovely.
I mean, they look beautiful, don't they?
Yeah, but
the nebulas and the supernovas and everything, right? It looks so good.
It's too cringy now to like NASA, I think. Fuck. Like that Mars lander thing sings itself happy birthday every year, so it doesn't get lonely. Like, come on, that's just so bullshit.
Right, Zinda, do you look at any of NASA's work and think that they're actually trolling us? Or do you look at it and think other things? I look at NASA, and when I see NASA doing anything, I just think they're laughing at us. Literally, not laughing at flat earthers. They're laughing at the ball earthers that believe this shit.
Yeah, please go on.
Because if you look at NASA stuff and you think that it's true, whatever it is that they're showing you, then you're the people that they're targeting at. They're laughing at you. They're not laughing at flat earthers because we're all awake and realize, but they're actually trolling the ball earthers. So I was just wondering what you think, Zinda.
Well, I never really look at NASA's work directly. I usually just look at the artist interpretation of what NASA claimed is true. So I never really looked at NASA's real picture or the picture they claim are real, because those are gray and boring. I look at shiny, bright, colorful pictures from artists. So I don't know. I think this is what most people around us do. They just see those beautiful pictures.
Nathan, would you mind presenting my screen again? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Riley, real quick questions. Do you ever get to see that First Man movie?
You're on.
About Neil Armstrong?
No.
No.
Let me come back to that in a sec.
Yeah.
Nathan, isn't it ironic, right, that we've ended up basically pushing ourselves higher and getting further back to see things, and we're back to where we were 2 years ago? I mean, do you remember when we were talking about this right at the beginning of the Isle of Man debate?
Yeah,
and
of course.
Now we understand why this is nonsense. If you don't understand why this is nonsense, you'll still think that this is basically to do with the curve of the Earth and whatnot. But now we realize that the curve calculators are lying. This means that the valuation of this guy's work here is just through the roof. And I'm tempted to buy one of these prints myself or go and recreate it myself, because I reckon you'd get a better image if you did it with the P900 and stacked it. But my point is that we've ended up being where he was, and we pushed it back and we've got higher to see what we can see and to see what's going on. And it's just the irony that we're back to where we were 2 years ago. But the difference now is that we realize how they've duped us. They've lied to us about this curve calculator that's not making it curve. It's basically making it flat. They're making the curve calculator look flat. Lies. We're back to where we were from square one, and it's the same footage. It's the same information, just with a better explanation. So that's basically the pinnacle, really. It's just, do you not think this is like almost like finishing a marathon kind of thing, Nathan? It's like we're back to the finishing line again.
Indeed.
Come on, Nathan.
Yes.
Don't leave me hanging.
No, I completely agree.
It's glorious. I think I might
I'm going to
actually.
leave these guys chatting about the Isle of Man and how glorious that footage from 2 years ago, indeed, alongside Sandra and Ranty's footage really is, because it is spectacular. So massive shout out to Ranty and Sandra for capturing that most recent footage. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. Smash the dislike button, then smash it again. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. If you're a late riser, then over on my second channel, Nathan Oakley, there is the repeat of the first show, together with a live chat and the pre-show attached onto the beginning. So that's now broadcasting over on my second channel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!